So, I want you to picture a birthday cake.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
But I don't mean just a sad store-bought slab of cake.
Right, right.
I am talking about an absolute masterpiece, one of those towering, architectural, highly Instagrammable cakes that probably cost more than my first car did.
Oh, wow. One of those.
Yeah, exactly. It's covered in this rainbow funfetti sprinkle mix. The frosting is incredibly thick and perfect. And right on the top, written in that goofy, joyful icing script, it says, "Congrats on 10."
I mean, it's the kind of image that just screams celebration, right? You see that and you immediately think of a 10-year-old's birthday party.
Right.
Or maybe a 10th wedding anniversary. It implies this massive milestone of happiness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It really does. But the context is what makes my skin crawl.
Yeah, the context changes everything.
Because the woman standing in front of this cake is Catharine West. She's 28. She's living in this incredibly sterile, high-end apartment in New York City.
Very polished.
Very polished. And she's just run 8 miles to pick this cake up. So she's sweating. Her adrenaline is pumping. She stares at this beautiful object. She cuts a single slice, and then she freezes.
She doesn't eat it.
Not a single bite.
Wow.
She is just overcome by this wave of absolute terror. So she grabs a black trash bag, shoves the entire $50 cake inside the icing, the sprinkles of "Congrats on 10," and throws it right down the trash chute.
And as she does it, she actually feels relief.
Yes, she feels better. And we have to talk about that number, the 10.
Right, because she told the bakery staff it was for 10 years of sobriety.
She did. She even tipped them extra to make the whole interaction less awkward.
But that is a lie. Catherine isn't an alcoholic. She's never even had a drinking problem.
No, the 10 marks 10 years since she escaped a cult.
10 years since she walked away from a place simply called the farm.
And that cake in the trash. That is our introduction to the psychological landscape of Little One by Olivia Muenter.
It is such a potent opening hook.
It really is.
Because it immediately destabilizes you as the reader. We're dealing with a protagonist who performs normalcy, buying the cake, going to the bakery.
Acting like everything is fine.
Exactly. But her internal reality is governed by a completely different set of rules. So today, for our deep dive, we aren't just going to summarize a thriller.
No, we're going way deeper than that.
We are going to unpack the psychology of survival, the way trauma literally rewrites memory, and the intense, almost telepathic bond of sisterhood that drives this entire story.
And we have a ton to cover today because Little One by Olivia Muenter is so dense with psychological nuance.
Oh, incredibly dense.
It's not just your standard girl escapes cult story. It's a character study of a woman who is still mentally trapped, even though she is physically free in New York City.
Right. And if I had to pin down the core theme we need to explore today, the absolute center of it all, it's control.
Control, yes.
How high control groups strip it away from you and how survivors try to reclaim it, often in ways that are just as damaging as the original abuse they suffered.
So let's just dive right into the now. The book splits its time between Catherine's present life in New York and her childhood back on the farm.
The then and the now.
Right. And in the present, Catherine seems, on the surface at least, to be this huge success story. She's a freelance writer, she's fit, she's independent.
She looks like she has it all together.
She really does. But when you look at what she actually writes, it's all clickbait.
It is the ultimate irony.
It's so weird.
She writes these articles like best cat water fountains or Amazon finds under 20. And that is exactly how Catherine has constructed her entire life. She describes her interactions with her editors, with her friends, even with these casual sexual partners she has, as purely transactional.
She just gives them what they want.
She gives them a persona. She gives them the Amazon fine version of herself so that no one ever looks at the messy inventory in the back room, so to speak.
She's created this totally friction-free existence. Because if you don't let anyone in, no one can hurt you.
Exactly.
And if you control your environment perfectly, down to the trash chute that just whisks away the evidence of your weakness, you remain safe.
You stay in control.
But there is one element of her now life that I found particularly disturbing.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
The virtual trainer.
Ah, yes. Space buns.
Right. She nicknames the trainer Space Buns because of her hairstyle. Catherine is obsessed with this running app. She listens to it religiously on her runs.
And on the surface, it sounds like really healthy motivation.
It does. The trainer is yelling things like, "This is what self-love looks like. while Catherine is just sprinting through the city.
But this is where Muenter does something brilliant with the satire of the wellness industry.
She totally skewers it.
Catherine listens to this, but she isn't inspired by it in the way you or I might be. She's analyzing it. She hears the trainer say, "Push through the pain to find yourself," and it triggers something ancient in her brain.
Something from the farm.
Yes, there's that specific scene during the run to get the cake. Catherine is exhausted. She's literally starving because she constantly restricts her food intake.
Right.
And Space Buns chirps in her ear, "If you need to take a break, that's self-love too."
And Catherine almost laughs at that.
Because to her, that is a lie. In her world, the world that was built by her father, taking a break isn't love, it's weakness.
She has this visceral reaction to the word break.
Yeah.
Her internal monologue cuts in. And it's not her own voice, it's the father's voice.
What does he say?
He says, "You've given weakness a seat at the table, and now you need to ask it to leave."
God. That is the crossover point right there. That is where we see that the wellness culture of optimization and the cult indoctrination of purity are frighteningly similar to her.
You really are.
Both of them demand that you suppress your bodily needs. Pain, hunger, fatigue. You have to push them aside in service of a higher goal.
For the trainer, the goal is fitness.
Right. And for the father, the goal was spiritual dominance. But the mechanism is exactly the same. Ignore what your body is screaming at you.
And Catherine is an absolute master at ignoring her body, or rather, controlling it. There is this mantra that repeats throughout the entire book. Hunger is a thing you can hold.
That phrase gave me chills every single time I read it. Hunger is a thing you can hold.
What does that actually mean to her? Because we know she isn't doing it to lose weight for vanity. It's not about being skinny.
No, it's not about vanity at all. It's about safety.
Safety. How does hunger make her safe?
Think about the physiological state of hunger. It's sharp. It's present. It completely narrows your focus. When you are truly deeply hungry, you aren't thinking about your missing sister.
You're not thinking about the past.
Exactly. You aren't thinking about the trauma of your childhood. You are only thinking about that gnawing feeling in your stomach.
It's a distraction.
It's a numbing agent. It's a way to dissociate from her reality. When she throws that cake away, she isn't just wasting food. She is actively reestablishing order in her mind.
Because she was starting to panic.
Right. She feels an emotional panic rising the memories of the 10-year anniversary, and she counters it with physical deprivation. She says she reaches down to find that ache I know so well.
Wow.
For Catherine, emptiness feels safe because it is familiar. Fullness is satiety, pleasure, letting go that is the unknown, and the unknown is dangerous.
So she's walking this incredibly thin tightrope. She has her clickbait, she has her running, she has her hunger. She's managing, barely, but managing.
Until the outside world breaches the perimeter.
The email.
Yes. The email changes everything.
She's standing in her kitchen, she's still coming down from that run, and her phone lights up. It's from a journalist named Reese Campbell, and the subject line is just, "Story about your childhood."
It is her absolute nightmare scenario.
The worst thing that could happen.
He writes that he's doing a piece on a little-known, now-defunct cult in Central Florida, and he asks the one question she has spent 10 years running from. Does this sound familiar to you?
Her physical reaction is intense. She describes this cold dampness on her forehead, her stomach just cranking. It's a full-on somatic flashback.
Her body remembers before her brain does.
Exactly. But what struck me is her immediate thought process after that. She doesn't think, is he okay? Or how on earth did he find me?
What does she think?
She thinks, I have to find the things I can control.
That is the trauma response kicking in. The world is spinning out of control. Someone knows who she is. She cannot control Reese. She cannot control the past. So what does she do?
She turns to her immediate environment.
Yes. She cleans. She throws out the cake. She tightens her grip on her own body. It sets the stage perfectly for us to understand why she is the way she is.
Because to understand the now, we have to go back to the then.
We have to go to the farm.
Let's go to the farm.
Yeah.
Because Muenter does such an incredible job with the atmosphere here. It's not some spooky, dark castle in Transylvania.
No, it's Central Florida.
Which is its own kind of horror, honestly.
It really is.
It's so humid, it's blindingly bright. She describes mornings with fog so thick it felt like mud, spiderwebs that stick to you like wedding veils, and the tomatoes, the endless rotting growing rows of tomatoes.
The setting is absolutely a character in itself, and it's crucial to understand that Cults, or high control groups in general, they often utilize the natural environment to enforce their ideology.
They use the beauty against them.
Exactly. The father uses the natural beauty of the landscape to entrap them.
There's this early flashback to young Catherine, maybe 4 or 5 years old. She's standing in the garden with her parents. The sky is this vibrant sapphire blue. The earth smells incredibly rich.
And her father looks at her.
He looks at her and says, "Nothing is this good.
That is the hook, right there.
Nothing is this good."
He convinces them that the outside world is literal poison. He tells them that regular society is addicted to noise, to junk food, to distraction. But here on the farm, there is purity.
He tells them, everybody wants this, and then they forget.
It sounds so appealing on the surface. A simple agrarian life, organic food, sunshine. Who wouldn't want that?
I mean, people pay thousands of dollars for retreats like that now.
Exactly. That's how they get you. But then he twists it. He introduces the concept of deprivation as a form of gratitude. He calls them moderation fasts.
Which is just a really polite way of saying starvation.
It's calculated malnutrition. They would go for 30 days eating nothing but beans.
Just beans. While they are surrounded by acres of fresh produce, they're growing tomatoes and eating beans.
And if you question it, well, there is a pivotal scene in the schoolroom.
They have the schoolroom scene.
Because remember, they are totally isolated, homeschooled, on the compound. Young Catherine raises her hand. She asks a completely logical question for a child. Why? We have other food. I'm bored of beans.
And the father's reaction? He doesn't hit her. He doesn't scream at her.
No, that would be way too simple. He uses shame.
He walks right up to her desk.
Gets very close, and his voice drops to the sweet, deeply disappointed tone. He asks if she wants the easy way out, and then he tells the entire class, hunger isn't starvation, it's laziness leaving the body.
God, that phrase, laziness leaving the body.
He reframes her basic biological need for food as a spiritual failing. He gaslights her into believing that her body is greedy and that his restriction is actually a gift. He makes her thank him for the hunger.
And she does. She actually thanks him.
She has to. To survive in that environment, you have to align your reality with the leader's reality. If you trust your own gut, literally and figuratively, you are in immediate danger.
So you learn to suppress the gut.
You suppress it, and you trust the leader.
This control over the body, it just escalates as she gets older. We have to talk about the scale.
The closet scene. This is one of the most harrowing parts of the whole book.
He keeps a scale in this tiny janitorial closet, and he makes the women and Catherine strip naked to be weighed.
He blocks the door with his body. He takes up all the space in that tiny room, and he forces them to be small.
He frames it as tracking their potential or their discipline.
Right. There's a woman named Rhonda on the farm who is skeletal, just emaciated. And when she steps off the scale, she looks proud, like she's winning a competition.
And then it's Catherine's turn. She's terrified. But notice what he calls her in that moment. He calls her little one.
Which is the title of the book. And we realize that in this context, it is not a term of endearment at all. It is a command.
Command, how so?
Little one. He wants her to stay little. He wants her to remain a child-dependent, small, physically and psychologically. He is actively stripping away her agency, her womanhood, her growth, and containing it all within this diminutive nickname.
It's entirely about power.
Yes. He is the big, expansive father. She is the little one who needs his guidance to even exist.
It creates this intense dissociation where she views her body not as a self, but as a project to be managed, a thing that constantly needs to be reduced.
But amidst all this horror, there is one lifeline for her. One bright spot in the mud.
Linna.
Linna.
The sister.
Linna arrives with her mother, Holly, when Catherine is about 4 years old. And they are instant foils to each other. Catherine is the good daughter, desperate to please the father. Linna is the newcomer. She wears glasses, she loves books, she's highly skeptical.
But they connect. They become this binary star system. They build an entire world within the world of the cult.
The treehouse.
Yes, the treehouse behind the old barn. I loved the detail of the flashlight rule. They have this rule where if you're in the treehouse and you want company, you turn on 2 flashlights. If you want to be alone, you turn on 1.
Think about how profound that is for a child in a cult.
It's massive.
In a place where you have absolutely zero privacy, where the father watches everything you do, where you are weighed naked, they created a system of consent.
I allow you in, or I need space.
Exactly. It was the one place the father's rules didn't seem to reach. It was a radical act of rebellion just to have personal boundaries.
And the father eventually adopts Linna, so they become sisters legally. Catherine sees this as a huge victory. She thinks, finally, we are officially family.
But the psychology expert in me looks at that adoption and sees a purely tactical maneuver.
A trap.
Total trap. By adopting Linna, the father severs her legal tie to her biological mother, Holly. It's a way to trap them both. If Holly ever tries to leave, she can't take Linna with her. It wasn't an act of love, it was an act of ownership.
Which brings us right back to the present, and to the central mystery that drives Catharine's life in New York. She is obsessed with an author named Marion Earl.
This is where the thriller aspect really kicks into high gear. Marion Earl is this reclusive author, famous for a book called Lighthouse. Catharine has read this book dozens of times. She listens to the audiobook on a constant loop.
And why does she do that?
Yeah.
Because she genuinely believes Marion Earl is Linna.
On the surface, it sounds like a complete delusion. It sounds like a conspiracy theory born out of profound grief.
It really does. She believes her missing sister escaped the farm, changed her name, became a famous author, and is now writing stories about survival in the woods as a coded message directly to Catharine.
But Catharine insists she has proof.
She does.
She went to a book signing once. The author was in disguise, wearing a wig, sunglasses, but Catharine watched her sign a book.
And she saw the handwriting.
A very specific lazy loop on the letters, a dot on the I that was identical to Linna's handwriting when they were teenagers in the treehouse.
That is the thin thread she is hanging by. She believes the sisterhood survived, and this belief is the only thing keeping her tethered to the earth.
It represents hope. If Linna is Marion Earl, then Linna is alive. And not only is she alive, she has a voice. She is finally controlling her own narrative now. For Catharine, who feels she has absolutely no voice, this is everything.
And that hope is what drives her to finally meet with Rhys, the journalist. She doesn't want to help him expose the cult. She just wants to use him.
It's a total cat-and-mouse game. Catharine agrees to meet Rhys, but she goes in with a strict strategy. She constructs a completely false narrative to protect herself and to protect Linna, wherever she might be.
She tells him all about her cousins, Ben and Bertie.
This was the moment in the book where my jaw literally hit the floor.
Ah!
We need to really unpack the Ben and Bertie reveal because it explains so much about how memory actually works under trauma.
Okay, so in the then chapters, Catharine describes Ben and Bertie as this older couple on the farm. They're like grandparents to her. They're sweet, they work hard in the fields, they're slow-moving.
Right. Elderly. That's the word she always associates with them. Elderly.
But then in the present, she shows a photo of them to her friend Stella lying and saying it's from art camp. And then later she talks to Rhys about them. And Rhys reveals that Ben and Bertie died young.
Rhys has the actual death certificates. They died of heart failure and heat stroke. But the key is their ages. They were only in their 40s and 50s.
Wait, really? Only 40s? That's not elderly at all.
Yes. And when Catharine looks at that photo again, when she truly looks at it with her adult eyes, the illusion shatters. She sees the gray hair, she sees the lined faces, the stooped posture, but she realizes it wasn't age.
It was the farm.
It was the relentless labor. It was the Florida sun. It was the malnutrition. The cult aged them prematurely. They were literally worked to death.
That is horrifying.
It is. But think about what Catharine's child brain did with that information at the time. A child cannot accept that the people she loves are being worked to death by her own father. That reality is just too terrifying to process. So her brain performed a protective distortion.
It lied to her to save her.
Exactly. It told her they are old, that's why they are tired, that's why they died.
It completely rewrote the script to make it bearable.
Old people die, that's natural. It's a much safer narrative than my father killed them with hard labor. It shows us that Catharine isn't an unreliable narrator because she's a malicious liar. She's unreliable because her brain was desperately trying to save her from the horror of her daily life.
So the cracks in her memory are really starting to show now. She realizes she can't trust her own recollection of the past. And this leads to an even bigger shock regarding the deaths on the farm. We have to talk about Holly.
This is one of the darkest, most manipulative things the father does. In the past timeline, Catharine and Linna are told that Holly Linna's mother died in a car accident.
The father gathers them around and says it was a drunk driver. He uses it as a lesson. He says, "See, the outside world is dangerous. Addiction kills."
And he refuses to let them see the body. He refuses to let them go to a funeral. He claims he's protecting their innocence.
Which is a classic giant red flag.
Huge red flag. But they are children. They have absolutely no choice but to believe him. Linna is devastated. Catharine tries to comfort her, but she's also secretly a little relieved that Linna is now fully hers. Or rather, fully the father's.
But in the present, Rhys hands Catharine a phone number. Or rather, he arranges a connection for her.
With a survivor named Holly.
She's alive.
She is alive, and the story she tells Catherine shatters everything she thought she knew. There was no accident. There was no drunk driver.
What actually happened?
The father kicked her out. He caught her sneaking food, breaking one of his moderation fasts, and he used it to exile her. But he didn't just kick her out.
He ruined her.
He drove her to a cheap motel, paid for a month in advance, and filled the entire room with junk food and soda. He effectively told her, "You want to be a glutton? Here, gorge yourself."
He weaponized her hunger against her. That is so twisted.
He knew she had struggled with addiction in the past. He actively engineered a relapse. He pushed her into a downward spiral so that she would be entirely discredited. She signed away custody of Linna while she was incredibly vulnerable, thinking she was unfit to be a mother.
It's just diabolical. He didn't just remove her, he destroyed her credibility so her own daughter wouldn't want to follow her.
It is calculated cruelty at its finest. He needed to get rid of the mother to fully possess the daughter.
And Catherine realizes that her own memory of her mother, Catherine's biological mother, is also tainted. There's a flashback to finding a go bag.
Yes. Young Catherine finds a bag hidden in the curtains. It has cash, documents. At the time, she interpreted it as a massive betrayal. She thought, my mother is planning to leave me behind.
She took it so personally. She doesn't love the farm. She doesn't love me.
But sitting there in the present with Holly, adult Catherine realizes the truth. Her mother wasn't trying to leave her. She was trying to save them. She was planning an escape for both of them.
And the absolute tragedy is she never made it. Catherine remembers burying her mother on the farm, and the father makes this comment. He says he brought them to that spot to rest, implying that Ben and Bertie are buried right there too.
It's a graveyard. The farm isn't a utopia, it's a literal graveyard. And Catherine was the one shoveling the dirt, thinking she was part of something holy and pure, when really she was helping cover up the bodies of the people who tried to protect her.
This guilt, it explains so much of her present-day trauma. But the guilt she carries about Linna is even worse. We have to talk about the night in the treehouse, the night everything finally fell apart.
This is the emotional climax of the past timeline. Linna is a teenager now. She has a boyfriend, Kent. They are planning to run away.
And Catherine catches them. She climbs up the ladder to the treehouse and finds some packing bags.
And this is the pivot point for Catherine's entire life. She has a choice. Join them. Help them. Or stop them.
She tries to stop them. She's so deeply brainwashed by the father's narrative that the outside world is evil, that they are special, that she views Linna's escape as a literal death sentence.
She tries to convince Linna to stay. She uses the father's language. She tries to manipulate her. And Linna looks at her sister, her other half, and says the most devastating thing she could possibly say in that moment.
You're just like him.
That line destroys me every single time. You're just like him.
It's the worst thing she could possibly hear. Catherine sees herself as the protector, the disciplined one, but Linna sees her as the enforcer, the jailer.
An adult Catherine is completely haunted by this. She thinks, did I stop her? Did I delay her enough that something happened to her? Because after that night, Linna disappears. The father just says she left. But Catherine doesn't know for sure.
And that uncertainty just gnaws at her for 10 years, until the present day when the control she has fought so incredibly hard to maintain completely shatters.
The TikTok video.
Of course it's TikTok.
Holly Linna's mom goes rogue. She's tired of waiting for Reese's article to come out. She wants answers now. So she posts a video. My cult story, part 1.
And it goes viral instantly. Millions of views. Catherine watches it, and she just knows. Her anonymity is totally gone. The facade of the Catwater fountain writer is over.
It's a total loss of control. The one thing she feared most, being truly seen, is happening on a global scale.
And just when you think the tension can't possibly get any higher, there is this subtle, super creepy detail about Reese, the journalist.
The scar.
Yes. Catherine notices a scar on his arm. A very specific gash.
Now, the book leaves this somewhat ambiguous, but it creates this incredible tension. Is Reese just a journalist trying to get a story? Or is he connected? Is the cult really defunct at all?
It makes you question absolutely everything. Catherine lied to Reese. Reese might be lying to Catherine. The web of the cult might extend way further than she realizes. It creates this paranoid atmosphere where you, as the reader, start looking over your shoulder.
It raises the ultimate question. Is anyone who they say they are?
I want to circle back to some of the deeper themes here because we've touched on them. But I want to really dig in before we wrap up. We talked about hunger as control, but I want to talk about specialness as a trap.
This is such a crucial dynamic in cults. The father told Catherine, You and I are the same. He actively groomed her to be his successor.
And she took genuine pride in that. She felt superior to Linna because Linna was weak.
But the psychological analysis here is that special is just another word for manipulated. By telling Catherine she was special, the father completely isolated her from her peers. She couldn't bond with the other kids because she was above them. She couldn't join Linna's rebellion because she had too much to lose.
So lonely at the top, especially when the top is a complete lie.
Exactly. Catherine realizes now that being special just meant she was the easiest one to control. Linna, who was the bad kid, the rebellious kid, was actually the strong one because she saw the truth.
That reversal is so powerful. The bad kid was the smart one. The good kid was the victim.
It forces us to question our own definitions of strength. Is strength enduring pain silently? That's what Catherine thought. Or is strength saying, no, this is wrong, and walking away?
And that brings us to the ending. Or, well, the lack of one. The book ends on a major cliffhanger.
It does. We do not get a neat bow.
The title, Little One. We know now it was the father's nickname for her. A literal shackle.
But the lingering question remains, is Linna alive? Is she Marian Earl?
The rational part of my brain says, probably not. The odds of your missing sister becoming your favorite famous author are just, they're astronomical. It sounds like a trauma delusion.
But the signature, the lazy loop.
I know. That's the absolute brilliance of Muenter's writing. She gives us just enough breadcrumbs to hope that it's real.
There is a darker interpretation, though.
Oh, hit me with it.
Catherine has spent her entire life following a charismatic leader. First, the father, then, in a way, the rules of the wellness app. Space buns. Maybe Marian Earl is just the new leader. Catherine listens to the audiobooks like they're scripture. She parses the words for hidden meaning. She might be projecting this connection because she needs a voice in her ear telling her how to survive the woods.
Wow. So she hasn't actually escaped the structure of the cult at all. She's just replaced the deity.
It's highly possible she's still looking for someone to tell her who she is.
That is profound and terrifying.
It leaves us with a real provocation. If you had to rewrite your childhood to survive it, to make it bearable, would you be brave enough to go back and read the original draft?
Oof. I don't know if I would. Catherine is trying, though. She's really trying.
She is, and that's the sobriety she's actually working toward. Not from alcohol, but from the lies.
This has been such an intense deep dive.
Yeah.
Little One by Olivia Muenter is a book that stays with you long after you close it. It makes you look at your own habits, your own narratives, and wonder, what am I holding on to just to feel safe?
And is that safety real, or is it just another cage?
Exactly. Thank you for unpacking this with me. This was a heavy one, but so necessary.
My pleasure. Always good to dig into the psychology.
And to you, listening, if you enjoyed this discussion, definitely pick up the book. The prose is stunning, even when it's describing the truly horrific. Until next time, keep diving deep.
Just stay curious.